In this video, we're going to be learning about tuples. So let's get started. So first of all, we've learned about lists so far, right? What have we learned in lists? We've learned that lists can be used to store data types, and those data types you can put any kind of data types as many times as you like. You can apply different kinds of methods to it, like append, remove, extends and stuff like that. So many more. And list is quite a flexible thing, so you can use it however you like. But tuple is very limited, right? It's very strict, should I say? Because in a tuple, once you've created the tuple, you can't apply any other methods than count and index. We're going to be going over count today, right? Index is not really, that it's a little bit more complex, but we're going to be going over count. So what count is that it's like a method used in tuples or any lists, anything like that, to count how many times an element has occurred in that lists or tuple, right? So talking about tuples, let's just first create a tuple, right? So I'll just create a variable name like tuple. It could be anything you like. And the syntax to create a tuple is two parentheses, right? Parentheses are the syntax for a tuple, but in lists it's like square brackets, right? So in this, you could put whatever data types you want. Like in strings, exactly the same, as many types as you want, right? You could say 5.5, I could say false. All these data types can be stored in a tuple. You can also store a few duplicates, so I could just create two false, I could create two fives, I could create two 5.5s, I could create another string, and it will store them, right? It won't, not allow duplicates. It will allow duplicates, okay? So, talking about duplicates, which brings me to count, right? So, talking about count, what you have to do is just say tuple, right? The variable name where you're storing your tuple. You have to say tuple dot, and then it will show you the methods that you can apply to your tuple. And here, you can only apply count and index. The rest of them, they're not like methods, okay? So count and index. So count, what it does, it basically, as I said before, it counts the number of time an element has occurred. So you use index for mentioning that item, right? So if I said count here, oops, what have I done here? There we are. If I said count and I said string, okay, I want to count how many times the string has occurred in my tuple. Now I know I said use indexing for this, but that's not actually true. I accidentally said that, but you can actually use indexing to access this element. We can try and do it, but it won't work. As you can see, it says 2 because I made the word string 2 times in my tuple so that it says 2, right? But if I were to create one more, just for making it this much more clear. Oops, what have I done here? So if I were to just create another string, this time it would show me 3, hopefully. Just like that. Okay, and what happened here? I must have accidentally deleted that. Right. Okay, fresh start. What's going on? Okay, there we are. Finally, we got there at the end. So if I were to create another string, when I run it this time, it should hopefully show me 3 because I have created 3 exactly the same strings, right? I've created a string, and then another string, and another string, and they all have the same values in them. So that's why it shows 3. So that's really it about tuples, right? But there's one more thing. In lists, you can actually go ahead, right? In lists, let's go back to our list program here. So in this list, what I could do is basically say list, and I could access any index I want. Like, I could do that in tuple as well, but let's just say I wanted to access the first element in my list. What I could do in a list is actually set that index, right? Set that first element, and I could change that element. So I could just say list, the first element now, is actually now equal to this. So if I said myth as equal to the 0th index in my list, it would change that value to myth now, right? So when I run this and actually print it, it would hopefully print myth instead of string in the list, right? So as you can see, it says myth. So that's what you can do in list. But if you come to tuple and you take an index, so if I were to take the zeroth index, which is the first element in my tuple, and change that to something like myth here, okay? And when I run this program, as you can see, it gives me an error because tuple does not have an attribute to this, to assignment, right? So once you've created a tuple, you can't assign a value instead of one value, right? So you can't basically replace them, okay? So that's something you can do in lists, but not in tuple. So now the video is end. This is the end of the video, and we've learned about tuples.